Just kidding. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Matilda Johnson, and today we're going to get messy. I don't know why I did that. I thought I was going to go a bit ASMR-y because it's really peaceful outside and raining, and so I was going to do an entire intro being like, welcome back to Hot Mess Podcast. But then I thought that would get really old really quickly, so we're not going to do that. Firstly, I want to start off by thanking everyone for your patience with this episode coming out a week after not posting anything and not sharing anything. I really did want to respect the Australian Indigenous community and show my respect and support for them following the vote for the referendum. I think I try to steer clear of politics on the podcast because it can be incredibly divisive. And I like this to be a safe and sugary place where people can come and listen and have fun and not worry about really serious things going on in the world. But I think there's a very tense political climate, not only in Australia, but also overseas at the moment. And to not acknowledge that, I think would be incredibly disrespectful of me and also just not true to who I am. Because off the podcast, I do really care about politics, and I think it is really important to stay educated on these topics and to fight for injustices in the oppressed groups and communities, not only in Australia but also overseas, and understand as a privileged white woman in Australia where I can do better. And so that is why we took the week off. I think it's been a very emotional week, given the political climate in Australia, especially as an Australian. I think it's hit more close to home in that aspect. But also, I want to pay my respects to anyone who has been affected by the current conflict between Israel and Palestine. I think I wholeheartedly stand against any form of ethnic cleansing and genocide, and I stand with the people of Gaza. And I wish I was more well versed in what to say in these times, but I think the best thing we can do is just to show our support and to try to get all of our facts and statements correct before we jump on any type of bandwagon. Because again, I think with these sorts of political conflicts, there is a lot of misinterpretation and lack of understanding about what is going on. And so I think we all need to really, make informed decisions and comments. So you might have guessed it, but today's episode will not be a date. We have reserved that episode for next week, and it's very funny, very spicy. I'm very excited for it. It is with somebody who I may or may not have once had a bit of a crush on, but I also think it's just because I grew up in the performing arts industry and I was rarely around straight men. And so when I was around straight men, I was like instantly like, I'm in love with you. Not to say this guy isn't great. He is great. But you're catching what I'm throwing, you know? So while we're still deep in our thoughts and a bit ASMR-y and a bit relaxed, I just wanted to get a few ideas rolling about relationships, toxic relationships, mental health. And I'm not going to make it a long episode because I know that can be a bit taxing, but it's just where I'm at with my thoughts and feelings. So basically, I think I had a bit of an existential crisis last week amidst everything going on in the world. I experienced something that wasn't too great, took a big toll on my mental health. I won't deep dive into that. That's what therapy is for. But it made me really think look at the people around me in my life and think, isn't it so interesting? I've touched on this before about how you're the main character in your own life, but you're not the main character in everybody else's lives. And you have to be at peace with that, and understand that You have to put yourself first in your own life, but don't expect everyone else to at all times as well. Aside from that, I was thinking about how we only have this one life. And you hear about kids who remember their past lives and stuff, but you don't know that you're going to remember your past life, if you believe that that is an actual thing. Not everyone does. That's so fine. But think about it like this. I'm living my life right now. I'm single. I'm 25, living alone. I've got a great group of friends. I love going out. I love also chilling by myself, but I'm really enjoying just like going out with friends and having a good time. And then I'm seeing friends who are engaged or already married, buying houses, getting pregnant and having kids. And we're all living such different lives. And I think it's so interesting, like the whole what was I made for trend and stuff. And how it's like some people are like, I was born to be a parent, or I think I was born to help people, or I was born to do this. And I'm like, I kind of had an existential crisis of, I don't know what I was like born to do, because also in this only like one life that I'm having, like, am I born to do anything in particular, or am I just born to like enjoy the one life I have? I don't know. It was a full-on existential crisis, and I was sitting on it for days after this whole thing happened, and I'm just like pouring it out of my system right now. But I don't know what I'm born to do. I think I'm born to make like, if I was born to do anything, I think it's to have fun and to make other people happy and smile. Because maybe that's also just the stuff that you're good at. Is that what you're born to do? I don't know. Is this me having an existential crisis? Please leave a comment if it is, or leave a comment of what you think you were born to do, because I'm interested, because I see so many women who, God bless them, I am definitely not this way inclined, who are like, I was born to be a mum. And I'm like, I love that for you. I love that you're super nurturing, and I love how much you love kids and you want to have your own kids. I'm personally not that way inclined. Doesn't mean either of that, like, either opinion is bad, or, it's just different. And I'm just like, God, I wish I had that feeling of being like, I was born to be a mum. And you see people and you're like, oh yeah, they were just made for this, And I'm like, damn, what was I made for? I actually don't know. Billie Eilish has me questioning everything right now. I saw a few like gags about this on TikTok, being like, what was I made for? I was made to not work and be a stay-at-home mum and pick up my kids from soccer in a Range Rover. And I'm like, that sounds fucking great. That sounds fucking great. And then there are ones where it's like, I was born to be a corporate baddie and work my way up to the top. And in my head, I'm like, yes. But guys, I don't know what I was made for. And I know like the whole point of the Barbie movie is like to not have to know what you're like made for and stuff, and to just live life and own it and stuff. But a part of me is like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I'm genuinely like, am I just living life? Can you be born to just live life? I don't know. I don't know. Also, shout out to my friends who are like, when I say a little bit younger than me, I mean like maximum like 2 years younger than me, who keep pointing out the fact that I'm like geriatric compared to them right now, because I think that has also sent them spiraling. And I know you listen to this, and so I hope you're listening, and I hope you know who you are right now, because this is what you've done to my brain. This is what keeps me up at night. I was also having a chat about this with my bestie Lexi, who will be coming on an episode soon. Woo! She and I were talking about how social media. I was also talking about this with my friend Libby. Shout out to both of you. I was talking about how social media perception is just so different to real life. And this is a known fact. We all know this, but we still get caught up in it. And it's even with like people we know personally. The amount of people who I've had recently message me and be like, oh my God, you're thriving. You're living your baddest life. Like, I'm so proud of you. Look at you. You're glowing. Oh my God. When did you become so bad and bougie? Quote by quote. Quote by quote. Anyway, this is all like, I want to say within the last month, I've never had so many compliments about how much I look like I'm thriving. When really, here I am having an existential crisis and going to therapy, and like behind the scenes being like, oh, like there's a lot on my mind right now, but I feel like I can't talk about that openly online. And it's this really interesting concept currently that I'm finding myself in, where I feel like I'm getting paid, like I'm starting to get paid to do stuff for social media, which hasn't really happened to me much before. And so I feel like I now need to put out this specific image of myself online that fits the brand of what it is that I am advertising. Not only that, but also like, because obviously these companies have seen something in me that they liked, and so they want to keep up that aesthetic. When really, like, there are so many, like, I'm not saying I'm not grateful for these things, I'm incredibly grateful. But then I now also feel like I have to keep up a specific aesthetic. And it's really interesting once you feel like you have to pigeon your whole. Whoa! Whoa! Backtrack. Once you pigeonhole yourself, oh, it doesn't really get better, does it? Into like an idea of what you need to look like for public perception, and then how that really does actually kind of change you. Because I won't lie, like dressing up and looking amazing and having people tell me I'm thriving does make me feel really good. Like it's like anyone would. But it's interesting how it's like, oh, now I need to keep up this perception. I don't know. It's been very strange to witness that. Like, guys, like I'm talking, my existential crisis is so hectic right now. So I was really feeling like shit the other day after dealing with like some mental health problems revolving around this one thing in my life. And so I was like, I need to go out. Like, I took a 2 hour nap, then got up and was like, I need to go for a walk. Went for a walk, and then was walking past a hair house warehouse, went in, got my cartilage of my ear pierced. It looks great, but like, was not planning on doing that. Then walked out and was like, huh, I just did that. And then kept walking. And then later on that night, sorry, mum's going to hate me for this. I booked in to get Botox, got Botox the next day. For those wondering, I've just done my upper lip, like a lip flip, and also a Botox brow lift. You will see the effects in 2 weeks. Anyway, I went and got that done the next day. And then the day after that, what did I do the day after that? Oh yeah, so the day after that, I then went and got an Invisalign fitted. Like, I think I'm also like not only trying to fit this like really great looking perception of myself that's currently out there on the internet, but I'm also like, am I just trying to change myself mentally, like, well, physically change myself to try to mentally change myself, or hide the fact that there are other things going on? And I'm glad that I can at least recognize that within myself. I'm kind of psychoanalyzing myself at the same time. But, and, you know, it's probably a good thing that I can be like, wait, why have I done all of these things very spontaneously? And I'm like, oh, it's probably because I just haven't been my best. Or I'm also trying to fit this idea of myself that currently exists that's not really true to me. And here we are. I don't regret any of the choices I've made, but I'm like, well, it all leads back to somewhere, and I think that's where it is. So this is a healthy reminder that everything you see on the internet, well, not everything, but on social media about people's lives isn't real. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I know we talk about this all the time and it is common knowledge, but it is so easy to forget that and look at somebody and be like, wow, they have such an amazing life. What you see is minimum part of their life, and it is only the highlights. Everyone's got something going on. And so don't be hard on yourself if you're not doing the coolest thing, or like not wearing the coolest outfit, or not overseas, or not living a life that you currently wish you were living, just because you're seeing other people your age or in your sphere doing the things you want to be doing. Because there are other things in their lives too that they might not 100% be happy with. And also, a lot of it could be orchestrated. For instance, it's currently Fashion Week, and I'm very lucky and privileged to say I've been going to a few of the shows, and I have had so much fun. It's been really great Heads up, you can actually buy tickets. Not everyone is just like invited to these events. A lot of people, myself included, pay to go because it's fun and I get enjoyment out of it. So a lot of people think if you go to these things, you must have an invite and it's invite only. It's not. Literally anyone can go. But on top of that, so I went to opening night, which was honestly so much fun. So much fun. I think it was like one of the best things I've seen in a long time. And there were a lot of Australian celebrities there, I want to say, like C and D list. Like it wasn't like Kylie Minogue was there. Oh, there were some like big names and stuff. And you're brushing shoulders with all these people. You realize so much, like they're just normal people too. It really humbles an experience for you, realizing that all these people you watch on TV or at sporting events are very normal. But I found it so funny. So I was waiting outside and I was waiting for my friend Lexi to show up. And I was standing with amongst a group of women who are C and D list celebrities. And I overheard them being like, okay, can you see the person you hired to take the photos? Like, where's the photographer you hired and stuff like that? They had hired their own paparazzi. And I was so shocked. Like, you hear about people doing this in like LA and stuff. You don't hear about this in Melbourne, Australia, you know? And I was like, oh my God, these people hired paparazzi. And then they found the photographer and full on orchestrated the photos of them walking down the street, running across the road to get to the show, like all of these things that was like meant to look candid. And they had hired a like paparazzi photographer to take those images of them. And I was like, wait, what? And I witnessed the whole thing and I was like, and then I looked at their Instagram like the next day and I was like, oh yeah, there's the paparazzi pics of them going to Fashion Week. And it's not paparazzi pictures. They've literally paid people to do that and to get them in the media. And I was like, wow, it really is fake. Like literally everything's fake. And low key though, I'm like, it's smart because you're getting your face out there in publications and stuff and making it look like you're a big deal. But also, it's just a really strange concept. I was thinking about like how fun would it be to like hire paparazzi for your birthday party and having them like follow you to a club like your Paris Hilton in the early 2000s. That's where my mind went. I was like, oh my God, genius. But then I was like, wow, that is so strange to watch actually happen in real time though. So again, everything's fake. I'm telling you, everything's fake. I just saw a quote that perfectly fits the vibe of this episode, and it said, your reality is based on the options you give yourself, so you might as well dream big. And I love that because I've always been one to say, like, I really like the idea and concept of manifesting, and I do try manifesting every now and again. But I also believe that, like, the things that you want to happen because you work hard for them and you put in the right notions and like make it happen. You don't just mentally wish it into fruition. You're actively making those things happen whether you realize it or not. And so you might as well just dream big and set your goals big and not limit yourself to what you think you're capable of and actually try to push boundaries to get to where you want to be. Because again, back to the existential crisis, you only have this life once, so why not go after all the things you want in life? Fuck it up and find out. No, that's not the saying. Fuck around and find out. Considering I say it as much as I do, you think I would have just had that roll off my tongue. Anyways, so that's all I'm going to have on today's episode. Sorry it did get a bit deep. I was thinking about going deeper. There were more topics that I wanted to go down, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe another time. So thank you for coming on that journey with me. If you think I'm having an existential crisis, let me know. Although I think I've come to the point of realization that, yeah, I am. And that's fine. So I'm just living, loving, laughing. And that's all you can do. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. You know where to give us a follow on Instagram and on TikTok at hotmess_podcast. And I will see you next week for a hot date. It's going to be really fun. my questions, I've already got them planned out. They are fire. So that's going to be really funny. My date, if he has listened to this episode, is probably terrified. So anyway, love you guys. Bye.